Hello, good morning everyone. Students of class 9, just try to listen to me today and look at all the presentations I have given to you. You will be in a position to understand cell structure very well and then try to remember them to answer the questions in your examinations. Hope you will enjoy looking at these slides and learning how to learn. Well, this is a presentation for class 9 on chapter 5, and that is fundamental units of life, what is known as cell. Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living beings. Let us try to understand the basics of this in this chapter. A question always comes to the mind: who are the people who generated the ideas of the cell? And for that, the only answer we get is two persons, Robert Hooke and Leuwen Hooke, in the early 16th century. They discovered, with the help of a very small instrument, small structures in the onion peel. They called it cells. Then the other three most important scientists like Schleiden, Virchow and Matthews gave the ideas of what is called cell theory, which you can learn in your higher class. Here are two representative diagrams of the plants and animals. Every animal in the world will have cells, and those cells may have all the parts present in the typical cell given in animal cells. Similarly, all the plants in the world will have the same structures in the cell as given in the plant cell. So therefore, you should try to understand that all living beings, plants and animals, have cells, which each one of them have identity. Some of them are, some of the parts, some of the organelles they are called are similar, some are different, but the basic functions will be the same. Animals and plants differ in the basic function because animals depend upon plants for food and plants prepare the food from the sunlight. So this is one basic universal difference that you should know. In your textbook, at the end of the chapter, after 16 pages, you have the chapter summary. I request all of you to read the chapter summary so that you will try to understand the basic ideas given in this particular chapter. A basic question comes to you: what are the important concepts that you should learn as you study chapter 5? I will be able to tell you that. Now try to answer the questions given here, 10 questions, which are also given in your textbooks. If you try to answer them after reading the textbook, then you will be learning the most important concepts of the chapter 5. An activity I suggest you for all the readers, all the students of class 9. As you read this chapter, you get questions at the end of each para or at the end of each concept. Some questions are listed either in yellow color box or red color box. Try to learn them, try to answer them. If you do not know how to answer, ask your teacher to explain that to you. Unless you understand those questions, you will not be able to answer the 10 questions which is given at the end of the textbook. In the following presentations, I have given some answers to the questions which I have listed 10 questions. Some of them are very long answers. There is no need for you to remember all that. But you should know there are much differences between or much ideas that has been given in this chapter. For example, one question I asked is, what are the differences between plant cells and animal cells? I have given you a list of 5 important differences and similarities that exist in the plant cell and in the animal cell. For example, cell wall. Cell wall present only in the plant cells and it is composed of cellulose. Animal cells lack cell wall and they only have the flexible membrane. Like chloroplast is present only in the plant cells, not in the animal cells. Vacuoles. Vacuoles are present in plant cells, but they are not seen. But if they are seen, they are very small in the animal cells. Centrioles. They lack centrioles. Which one lacks centrioles? The plant cells lack centrioles. Animal cells have centrioles. Lysosomes. Plant cells perform similar functions of the animal cells, but slightly differently. And lysosomes break down cellular debris in the animal cells. Remember, these differences reflect the distinct roles and adaptations of plant and animals. This is one of the fundamental questions you should try to understand as a student of biology. What are the differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes? You try to understand the meaning of prokaryote. Karyo refers to nucleus. Prokaryote refers to the cell which does not have a organized nucleus, primitive nucleus. Eukaryote means real nucleus. If you understand this particular idea, then it will be easy for you to answer this question. Cell size varies between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In your textbook, they have given you a very, very good answer for the difference between the size of the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. Now try to remember how to pronounce them. Prokaryotic, eukaryotic. Now you should try to understand how to spell it and how to pronounce it, and then try to understand the differences between them. I will not go into the details because this YouTube video will be there. You can read this at any time you like. But remember, the differences reflect the distinct characteristics between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. This is a very interesting question raised in your textbook. What happens if plasma membrane breaks down? Plasma membrane, is the outermost cover of an animal cell or even for the plant cell. If the plasma membrane breaks, what happens? The simple answer is, when the balloon is punctured, what happens? Air leaks. Similarly, when the plasma membrane breaks, all the contents present in the cell start leaking. There will be cell leakage. And all the functions of the cell may break down because organelles and other liquids present in the cell will come out. There is no cell, that means cell will have a death. Similarly, there is another thing called lysosome. What happens if it bursts? The same thing happens. The digestion, lysosome is known to help in digestion. It is one of the cell organelle. If it bursts, there is no digestion in the cell. And harm to organelles, that means any of the membrane breaks in the cell, there will be cell death due to the dysfunctioning of the cell, or called the cell's death. This is another fundamental question that you have to know and understand. As you know, Golgi apparatus is one of the organelles in the cells. If the Golgi apparatus does not function, what happens? In summary, we can say if the Golgi apparatus does not work, then the important cell function, especially creating secretions and production of proteins, all will stop. That means Golgi apparatus is known for secretions of many different kinds of chemicals in a cell. Details are given here, details are given in your textbook. Try to understand the functions of the Golgi apparatus. Well, another important function that happens in all the cells, including plant cells and animal cells, and that function is called osmosis. Look at the word osmosis. It means the spontaneous movement or diffusion of solvent. You know, in chemistry I have learned about the solvent and the solute. Solvent is the material in which solute will dissolve. I'm sorry. Example, water is a solvent, sugar is a solute. So osmosis refers to the movement of molecules of solvent and the solute in either ways. Now there will be in the plant and animal cells, there will be a membrane in between solute and the solvent. You try to understand more about this. There is a simple diagram given here, and that diagram shows in the center it's a U-tube. In the center there is a membrane. Membrane separates two different concentrations of solutions. As a student of 9th standard, in your chemistry classes, they must have told you about the concentration of solutions. So when a solution is concentrate, it contains more solute particles. If the solution is dilute, it contains more solvent particles. If you understand that, then you will be in a position to understand osmosis. In simple words, if you want to say, it is like flowing through membrane to balance the concentrations, that is osmosis. A very thoughtful experiment has been suggested in your textbook. It is very simple, you can do that. Try this. Take 4 potatoes or 2 potatoes, cut them in the center into half, not the lengthwise but the crosswise, and you remove the inner part, and to make a cup, as I have shown you here, 4 cups of potatoes, and make them for experiment purpose. A is one having empty, B is having some sugar, C is having some salt, and D also has salt, sugar or salt, anything. A, B, C potato cups are not boiled, whereas D is boiled cup. Now you should understand, potato is a living part of a plant. If you boil the potato, potato dies. All the functions will go away. So now this experiment you try to conduct. I will not explain this further, but if you conduct this experiment, you will understand that osmosis takes place only in living beings in a very, very complete, in a very controlled way. in a dead organism, it might happen or it might not happen. You should try to remember the function of another organelle of the cell called mitochondria. I have not discussed all the organelles of a cell because the time is short. We will try to do later on. Mitochondria is referred to as the power of the cell. Both animal and plant cells will contain. For example, every cell in the body contains mitochondria. We have more than 100 million cells. I can't count, you can't count, nobody can count the number of cells. Each cell has mitochondria. Mitochondria gives energy by breaking down the glucose we take. That happens inside the mitochondria. Therefore, mitochondria is called the powerhouse of the cell. If a question may come, if mitochondria are killed in a cell, what happens? What happens? All the organism dies. We have come to the end of this session. My credits are due to Karnataka textbook because I have taken all the materials from the Karnataka textbook, and Creative Commons, and also I am grateful to AI for some of the explanations I collected from artificial intelligence Meta. Thank you.